Hey everyone, welcome back to Ask Amy. I'm starting this one a couple minutes late because today is the first day of the fall 2021 Little School Big Change course. So students are watching the initial video lessons, they're coming and sharing forum, introducing themselves, starting to get some support right away and meeting each other. And I got kind of carried away welcoming people in there. But it's so exciting. I love this day so much. There are two of these each year because I only lead the course twice a year. And it's just a super fun, exciting day. So I would love for you to join us in the Little School of Big Change. This is the last class of this year of 2021. The next course will be sometime in the first half of 2022. And it's just an amazing way to spend the next 6 weeks. I mean, looking in a totally different direction, having your mind blown over and over again, honestly. It's not about just what we get from it, like let me fix this problem or try to make my habit go away. I know that's a lot of the stuff that's talked about. That's how we tend, when we're suffering with something, we tend to think about it in that way, like what can this do for me in terms of my habit or my anxiety. And I just want you to know, I mean, that's a little tip of the iceberg. That stuff changes, no question, but so much more opens up. It's an incredible understanding that I've been blessed to get to share, and the school is just a great way to see more about it. So join us if you're interested. I'd love to have you. There's a Q&A session today. If you have any questions at all about the school at 3 o'clock Eastern time today, so in 2 hours from now, 8 o'clock UK, I'll be doing a Q&A, super casual, informal. I'll just be on Zoom answering any questions you have. So you can pop in there in a couple hours, and I'll put in the description here the link to that Q&A so you can find the Zoom link to meet me there. So, question for today is from Sarah. Sarah says, I was listening to an AskAmy about physical withdrawal symptoms, and one thing keeps popping in my head. If all experience is one thing and it's not useful to label it good or bad or to resist it, what about things like putting your hand on a flame? You don't have to label it bad, but you do need to pull your hand away to stop the pain. So I'm gonna just kind of speak to some of this as I'm reading this, Sarah. So what's so cool about this, you're right, like we put our hand on a hot flame, and I want you to just see if this looks true to you, Sarah. You don't even have to pull it off. You're right that you don't have to label it. You don't have to take that step to say, "Ooh, this is bad. I think I should move my hand." Like, we're born with this. We're lived. We are completely lived in these ways. When your hand goes on a hot stove, you pull it away. It is pulled away. It is pulled away not by your decision, as you say, not by your labeling, not by your like, what should I do here? It just happens. So much in life happens through us. I would say kind of everything in life happens through us. We aren't responsible for it. We're not the ones pulling all the strings, making everything happen. So go on to the rest of your question. So she says, I'm thinking about the sensation of a panic attack. Sometimes it feels like a hand on a hot flame. It hurts, and everything in you is telling you to change something so you can stop the pain of the physical sensations. Maybe in this example, the difference is that in the hand on the flame instance, there's an actual danger, whereas in the panic attack instance, there usually isn't. So again, I'm going to pause here. That's perfect to see, Sarah, and that's the difference. We've as human beings, we've evolved to just naturally move into action when there's some real true threat. So when your hand is on a hot flame, it moves. It moves. You don't even have to move it. When you're having a panic attack, what feels so horrible about that, partly what feels so horrible, is your mind is racing, trying to find the actual thing to do to relieve exactly what you say, trying to find the actual thing to do to relieve this feeling that you're in. But the difference is there is no real problem. So in a panic attack, you feel some stuff. Your mind starts racing. Oh no, I don't like this. I don't like this. That only makes the stuff grow. as you mentioned, we resist it, we push it away. We were thinking about how horrible it feels and how terrible it is. And then we start thinking about what am I going to do to relieve this, as if that's all our job. And it's totally not, as if we're supposed to figure out what's going on here and how do I change it. That creates more tension and more panic. And then we're in a panic attack. And when we look out at the world, even from the fuzzy mind that we're in, when we look out at the world, there's nothing to do. There's no obvious flame to pull away from because there is no flame in this circumstance. In this circumstance, there's thought that's believed. There's scared thought that's identified with and believed. That's the flame. And if we don't see that, we don't know. We're just swimming in thought. We just push on it more and resist it more and try to fight it more and try to fix it more. And again, that just makes it grow and get bigger and leaves us still with nothing to actually do. Now, in the case of a panic attack, as you know, they all end all by themselves. No one's ever been stuck in a panic attack. So nature's going to take care of it. Just like nature pulls your hand away from a hot flame, nature what do you call it, like it makes the panic attack end. It changes everything, right? Feelings and thoughts are always changing, so nature will help this change, and it will bring the panic attack to an end. Always. You don't have to figure out how to do that. It will happen naturally. But in the meantime, again, we're in there thinking, oh my gosh, what is this? It's on me. What should I do? Is there a real problem? So that's the huge difference. And so what that shows us, Sarah, is when we're feeling all this stuff and there's nothing to do, it's not obvious what there is to do, and we don't see ourselves, we're not watching ourselves do something, that's a thought created issue. That's panic. That's very different than you're going to burn yourself. It's very different from real danger. It's panic. So I remember this when I used to have panic attacks too. So much of the suffering would be in my head thinking, is this real or is this anxiety? Now, it's a little funny to me now that I used to wonder that so much because I knew myself to have a ton of anxiety all the time. So, but yet, every time it would show up, I would think, is this the real heart attack? I'm 25, but this is probably the real heart attack. Even though I have this history of anxiety, it always felt so serious, like you're saying, like, is this real or is this anxiety? If there's, like, I just want you to see, you don't have to make that decision. If your mind is sitting there wondering, real or not real, anxiety or do something, if there's nothing obvious to do, there's nothing to do. Like it's gonna, we're always lived, and we're not the ones pulling the strings. And so much of what creates all this angst and just makes everything feel worse and more heightened in us is us in our heads trying to figure out what we're supposed to do to make change happen when it's not ours to make. So let me go back to your question. So you say, maybe in this example, the difference is in the hot flame instance, there's actual danger. Exactly. It's hard because the feelings are so deeply unpleasant. It's difficult to say that they're experienced the same as joy or comfort. And I don't need to pull away from a flame that doesn't actually exist, even though it feels like I'm burning. I guess there's no question. I just love your thoughts on this. Yeah, that's the thing though, Sarah. This is what we're able to see when we explore this kind of thing and we get curious about how our experience works and who we are beyond it and how life works. It's exactly what you said. I don't need to pull away from a flame that doesn't actually exist. I love that. Even though it feels like I'm burning. But that's what you just come to see when you get reflective. When you see, wow, like I just said about mine, now it's easy for me because I have a lot of distance from panic attacks. It can be a little tougher when you don't have so much distance. But when you're able in a calmer place to look back and say, wow, that is true. I do constantly feel these little rushes of energy. I resist them, and yet every single one of them has changed completely on its own. I didn't need to make that happen. Wow, like you just look for yourself and see if that's your experience. Wow, it is true that I'm lived, that when I put my hand over a hot flame, it pulls away. I don't have to make that decision. So that's where we all get to just look for ourselves and be curious about what we actually see in our experience, not how it appears, not how it feels, because how things feel is always changing. How something feels is worth nothing because in 2 seconds or less it's going to change. So it's not that it feels like it's burning, it's what you know to be true. And what you know to be true is that you have a sense when you're feeling anxious. And when you look around and there's nothing to do, there's nothing to do. So I hope that's helpful. Thank you for sending this. I think it's really helpful to kind of, even if there's no clear question, there kind of was, but to just pick this apart a little bit and talk about it more. I'm sure it's really helpful for people to hear. So thank you, Sarah. Thank you, everyone, for listening. And I hope to see you guys inside the school starting this week. Again, enrollment closes on Thursday, this coming Thursday, September 2nd at midnight Eastern Time. So to join this amazing class, our last class of this year, just so many great people from all over the world have already joined. I get so excited because I send out a little card, a personal handwritten card to everyone, and there's people from the Philippines, Singapore, Japan. There's countries that haven't been in the school yet, and we've already had 45 countries. So that's where I geek out, is on the little country ticker. But it's just an incredible global community, and I'd really love to have you there. If you have questions, join us for the Q&A session in just about 2.5 hours. So thanks, everyone. Have a great week, and I'll see you next week.